So here I am at her breaker panel, and compared to a lot of panels I've seen, this one's pretty simple, but she does have a pretty small house. So there's only 20 breakers, although you do have some of these that are combined. This is a square D panel with square D breakers. I was gonna get one of those dual function breakers for extra protection, but they're way too expensive. So I'm first gonna be doing the new GFCI in her bathroom. So it's number 5, and it's a 20 amp circuit. Okay, so I'm gonna uninstall this. Got one of these screwdrivers with all the different bits on the inside. And when I'm done, this part just screws back in there. So it's annoying because there's not any light here, but that's fine. There's a bit of natural light. I might get the flathead for this one. I don't really like flatheads because they slide out so easily, but sometimes the screws are just easier to use a flathead on. So I actually took this GFCI out yesterday because it was upside down, and for some reason whoever wired my grandma's house, half the outlets are upside down, and it bothers me, so occasionally I come in and turn off a breaker and flip one around. I flipped this one around, but I figured it's probably best to replace it because the reset button is a bit weird and it's sticking out crooked, and I just need to redo some of the wiring in here. Okay, so I got it unscrewed now, so I can pull it out a bit. Oh, when I was messing with this yesterday, I had a problem where the ground wire is just so short. About probably 90% of the time I replace an outlet or a light switch, I always have problems with the wires not being very cooperative. Now, I don't have my pliers with me. They're not entirely necessary, but they do make it easier sometimes. And yes, I made sure to shut off the breaker. I didn't just turn the switch right here off, because this switch controls the outlet here. So, because I don't want to risk accidentally flipping the switch back on and then shocking myself. So, and now we have the ground wire here. Oh, it's not letting me. Okay, well, I need to have the camera as far away from me as I can so I have more room. So I use the optical zoom on my camera. Alright, so here's the GFCI unit that I will be replacing, which I guess I'm half done. Yeah, so there it is. So we got the live, the neutral, and the ground/earth. Here's the new unit. I bought this at Lowe's yesterday for like $15. You can see by the receptacles it's a 15 amp, although our bathroom is a 20 amp circuit, so it doesn't really matter that much. So with this, you can see you can either hook them onto the screws on the side, or you can push them in these holes and then tighten them. Since the wires are already in little loops, I think I'll try trying to screw them down on the sides. So with GFCIs, you got to make sure you got the input and the output. Now I only have to worry about the input because there's no other outlets on the GFCI loop, but or well, they call it the line and the load. So I want to connect these wires sticking out to the line. Okay, so these top ones right here are the line, and the bottom ones are the load. And you can see the darker screw is hot, and the lighter one is neutral. So you want to make sure, and then of course you got the ground on the top, which you can't push that in like you can with the other ones. So I'll probably do the ground last. See, first I gotta straighten these wires out a bit so I can work with them better. You see, I just accidentally bumped that switch, so I could have shocked myself afterward. So it's always just the better idea to just shut off the breaker before you mess with this, or disconnect the fuse, or whatever you need to do. so that there's not live electrical. So, put this in right here. Have to widen that loop a bit. Alright, you know what? Let me go get some pliers. Oh, no. Alright, there. I've adjusted the camera a bit. I don't have any pliers, so I'll use my wire strippers because they have a little thing on the end, so I can kind of loop the wires about. So I just need to get that and open that loop a little bit so I can get it around the screw. Now this is where they like to be difficult. Okay, good. I got it looped on. I found my screwdriver here. Just gotta tighten it down. There we go. Now for the live wire. What's nice about getting one is it holds it in place like that, so I don't have to hold up the unit. Now this hot wire is a bit shorter than the others, but that's fine. There we go, that's a nice loop there. Now I'll screw that in. I could leave it like this, but that's kind of dumb. You want to attach the ground. Here's the ground wire back here. See if I can get this on. I'm gonna rotate it around for now just to get this here. Now I just need to loop this on to the screw. Push this back a bit. Alright, so I got the ground looped on, so now I just got to screw it down. Alright, so it's connected. So now I just need to rotate it around and screw it in. Hope this goes well. Need to adjust some of these wires so they're out of the way. Alright, so now it's in position, and now I just gotta screw it into the back box. Let's put this on. So you can see it fits there. Now to get all these screws. So usually when I'm doing something like this, I start with two opposite corners to hold it in, and then I do the rest. I always make sure that my screws, like that, you see that, that's horizontal. Now it's a little bit off there. There we go. Now for the opposite corner. There we go, horizontal. Another one for the final one. Ooh. This one doesn't want to go in. And there we go. So let's go turn the breaker on. Okay, now let's test it. So I was uninstalling this really old tandem outlet behind my grandma's chair in her living room, and I planned to replace it with a new outlet, not only because it was old, but it didn't appear to work. In fact, it hadn't been working for the whole time we've been living there, which has been about 8 years. So I took it out, and what I was worried about was I had probed it with my electric tester, and no surprise, the outlet didn't work like usual, but I couldn't detect any live wires nearby. So as I was taking it out, I noticed that there are actually some cloth wires behind there, and I figured since both my house and her house are very old, they probably still have knob and tube, they're just not used anymore. And both of our houses do have modern wiring, and that's what we use. So I decided to go to the attic to investigate, see if I could find any more knob and tube. Here's our attic. Gosh, there's just so much exposed back boxes like that just... Why do they need to do that? See, there's another one. You just got a wing nut sticking out. No surprise, that doesn't even work. We got a whole bunch of these CFLs pointing in there, around here and there. But now here's the interesting part. Just look at this. You got a knob there, got a bunch of cloth wiring. Look at this light switch. We got whatever this thing is, I don't even know. We got a new outlet and that's wired in. We got some tubes there. Got another knob. Oh yeah, the guy who used to live here did a lot of networking, so here's a bunch of Ethernet cables. I think that's what they are. He also had a bunch of coax, because he had a bunch of antennas. I think he did ham radio. So I got this machine. I don't even know what it is. I think it's maybe an air conditioner. That over there is definitely not safe to walk on. Got a vent in the floor. Here's that thing. Set the trip at 70 degrees. I wonder what the other one's at, because that one's not on yet. That one's set also 70. I guess it doesn't work. Oh, look up there. We got another knob or something. Can't imagine what that is. So here I am, and I've got this tub full of all of the knob and tube and porcelain stuff that I got from my grandma's attic. I didn't get those knobs and tubes from the basement or that weird one on the attic ceiling, because I could have, but I didn't want to bother with getting a ladder up there and getting a hammer and messing with all that, because those ones are kind of hard to do. So I'll just show you what I have got. So got two of these knobs right here. The wire, I can't get the wire off of them, so they're just like this. Let's see, we got this really old light switch, which makes a good clink when you flick it. So, there's that. We got this right here. It's my, I assume it's 120 volts to 8 volts AC. It's probably AC because for this time they'd probably advertise it that it's DC, or at least mark it on there, but they don't say it. And also, it'd be more common for the time for them to use AC. And then I also have a bunch of these tubes right here. And then also that light bulb, but that's not old. I just happen to have that in there. So, I can go ahead and show you. I'll just quickly show you the ones I already have. Got these two, which you can see with these grooves, they hold the two wires separate. And we got some up there. It's kind of hard to see, but there's some. And I got two of those down, and I got a bunch more tubes. So anyway, that will conclude this video. I didn't originally plan for it to be a knob and tube hunt, but then I found some, and I thought it'd be interesting. I plan to make a knob and tube and this older technology kind of museum in the future, so I might be making a video about that if that ever happens. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in the next one. If you have any comments or questions about the show, or would like to suggest topics for future shows, drop me a line at romeocat128.wixsite.com/home.
When this year's over, this has been a crazy year for weather, hasn't it?
Yep.